So you're sending some emails, some sales emails with the sounds of things, Dad. Tell me about these people. Who are you sending them to?
Basically, as you know, I'm a mortgage broker. And I get a lot of my customers from builders. I've sold houses and then need their customers to be able to fund the mortgages.
So they refer you, their customers, essentially.
Exactly right. So it's a great source of business because we know these customers are buying, so they're going to need a mortgage.
How do you typically find builders who are going to refer you these customers?
It's a thing I built up over the years.
Right.
I know various people in the industry, so we need to constantly be looking for new builders that are going to send us work.
So I know that you wanted to email some specific folks today.
I did, yes.
Why then?
Successful house builders in the location that I'm in, and it would be great if I could do some work with them. They're also the size of builder that we deal with as well.
You mentioned that there was a reason that you wanted to reach out to them now.
You've always got to have a reason. I mean, they'll have an arrangement with a broker right now, which they'll be completely happy with. They'll say to themselves, well, it isn't broken, why fix it?
Yep.
What we would like to do is be the second option for them.
Yep.
Because sometimes that broker won't be able to help them with a certain customer, and if they can't, they'll perhaps send the customer to us. If they do that a few times, then they might consider phoning us first rather than second.
Yep.
The house building industry is going through some changes. So what they've done is they've brought in an ombudsman scheme. And an ombudsman is an independent body that a customer can go to, like a place you can go if you had a complaint.
Right, okay.
The builder subscribes to the scheme.
Yep.
It's voluntary to begin with, but it's going to become mandatory. Now, it's good for the builders in some respects because sometimes a customer just keeps on complaining and keeps on complaining. But what this does is gives the builder the option to say, well, go to the ombudsman.
Yep.
And the ombudsman word is pretty final.
It's like a judge.
Yeah, a bit like a judge. But of course, on the other side, if the builder hasn't acted very well, the ombudsman can rule in the client's favour and they're allowed to award up to a certain amount of money.
You're not entitled to any money.
So builders at the moment who are signing up to this scheme have to sign up to certain rules. And one of the things they can't do is they can't just say to the client, well, you're going to buy a house, here's a person you can speak to about the mortgage. They can't just offer them one source.
Yeah.
What they really need to be doing is giving the customer two options.
Two options.
So the legislation is going to change with the ombudsman that says giving one card out or one recommendation only is not enough.
Okay.
And I think that what I'm going to try and do is use that to say, well, what can we be your second option?
I like that, okay.
And here's a change to the rules.
So that's the trigger. So you know these three people you're reaching out to currently only have one broker.
Yes.
So the rules are changing. That's going to say that they're going to need to require two brokers. What happens if they do just direct them to one broker? You said that they could get fined or like.
Well, they could be open to the ombudsman saying you haven't really acted fairly, and because of that, we're going to fine in favour of the client, and you've got to pay the client a certain amount of money.
When will this change take place?
It's beginning now. At the moment, it's a voluntary scheme for the builders. But I believe it's going to become permanent.
Right.
Anybody who's interested in giving a good service to their customers is probably doing it now voluntarily.
Well, what you mentioned you want to write an email to these folks.
I do.
What? And you're going to probably send a similar email to all three of them, right?
Yes, I'm going to cold call them. I don't know who they are. I know their names, but I don't know I don't know their email address. They must get a lot of these approaches all the time.
Yeah. So you want to stand out.
Exactly right. Yeah, you want to do something that's going to make you stand out. And I need a process to get in with them. I realise that sending them one email is not going to get them to work.
No. Who decides this kind of thing?
Well, the directors.
Okay.
So they're directors of regions of large building companies.
So that'd be like the director of sales or director of
Exactly right. Yeah,
okay.
for a particular area.
Yeah, we'll be able to their emails. Don't worry about that.
Sure.
Yeah. What I want you to do is take a crack at writing a good email.
Okay.
What you would send them.
Sure.
And then what I'm going to do is take a look at that, put it through this tool. It's going to tell us what we can improve about it. And
Sure.
I might even do a rewrite myself. Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me, yeah.
All right.
Any help I can get with you.
Okay, I'm going to leave you to it for a second. You got your laptop there, yeah?
Sure.
All right.
Later.
All right, so you've written an email.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, mind if I take this over here and we'll get this on camera?
Yeah, sure.
Dear Rachel, the Ombudsman will enforce higher standards, not just in snagging construction standards, but also how you deal with your clients from reservation to completion. This includes the recommendation of legal and mortgage advisors and offering a limited number of options to your client. May fall foul of the code of practice. We see that you recommend a firm of mortgage advisors at the moment and would like to put forward our services as another option for your panel. Offering our service as well as the service of your existing provider would mean that you are compliant. We have been dealing with new home mortgages for over 30 years and deal with several household builders customers. If you would like to discuss our options, please reply to this email. I will follow up with a call in a few days to check that you are happy with your arrangements. Yours sincerely, Bill Aitken. So now that we've put in here, it's going to give us some recommendations. So what you've got here is a score basically. B sounds pretty good, but it's quite generous in the ratings it gives. Really, I wouldn't want to send anything out that wasn't an A.
Okay.
And what it's going to tell you is just some of the things that need work inside the email. So it says right now, you've got some uncommon words, you've got some long sentences. So if you click on the long sentences, you'll see long sentences make it harder for your read to quickly read your messages, especially when they're on the phone. We can actually take a look at that, in fact. Well, this is how that's going to look on a mobile device, right? If someone looked at that on their phone, they would probably, and if you have to scroll, then that often means that your message is probably going to be too long for them to read. Right now, it says here, ask a question. So your email doesn't actually contain any questions in it. It says if you'd like to discuss our options, you don't actually ask any questions. Realistically, you want to be asking 1 to 3 questions in an email. I find one's good because then they know which question they're going to answer. The other side of things is I, you. So right now your I to you ratio is 6 to 10. What you want is a 1 to 2 ratio. So you're not that far off.
What is that where I'm using the we rather than too much rather than the you?
Because you want it to be all about them, not you.
Sure.
Hedge words, several, just vagueness, and just kind of weakens it a little bit.
Sure.
And then too complex. Being really complex may make you feel like you're talking smart, but the reality is it makes your message actually unclear to read. The ideal reading level is actually a 5th grade reading level, so we're talking about 10-year-olds here. So formality, these are the good things. Strikes a good balance of conversational, casual, and professional. No spam detected. Some words will make you more likely to land in the spam detection if you're asking people to buy gift cards and whatnot. So what the first thing it's going to do is tell you the best ways to improve this. So if you actually click on long sentence 1, it says this sentence up front, it's really long. And as we saw on the phone preview a second ago, when you look at that, it's a big paragraph. And if you ever spend any time on LinkedIn, you'll see everyone writes in sentences because it's much more easy to absorb. So not only will it tell you the sentence is a lot too long, but it actually can recommend a sentence that's going to be a little bit more readable, but keep the content. So its first recommendation is split the sentence, remove unnecessary language. Right now, that sentence is 3 lines. We can click this, it says the same thing in fewer words. I'm not gonna try and fix this entire email. I think you did a good job, Dad, but I'm gonna rewrite it how I would write this email.
It's rewind time.
I think your subject line right now is pretty good. Actually, that to me, I would open that. The idea of a subject line is that you want it to kind of almost look like your colleague could have sent it to you. You mentioned to me that you found out this information because you went into one of their branches, their locations, right? And spoke to some people in the office. So what location was it?
The Biddenham site.
And the sales team?
Yeah.
Right. So now the first sentence is all about her, all about them, right? You've come in, you've had the conversation, you're highlighting something, you've made an observation. The next thing you want to do is try and tie that observation that you've made, which is a true fact, to a problem. And now we're going to go in for the little bit of the kill, right? So we're not going to sell because we don't like selling in emails, but we're going to allude to the fact that other companies. What's a big building you work with?
Red Row Homes.
Okay. So then you said in your original email, hey, let me know if this is interesting to you. But I want to ask her a question because honestly, I would like a response.
No, she doesn't know. She doesn't know I specialise in this though. So I need to tell her that. Because she might just think I'm just some kind of mortgage broker that does everything, but I don't actually I work in the area that she works in. In the last email I said, we've been helping builders and their customers for over 30 years in this space.
So Rachel doesn't know you. You know
No.
Rachel, okay. You mentioned earlier that she already has a broker. She's happy
Yes.
with. The problem that she has isn't that her broker is crap, maybe they are. The moment you start saying we are the best in class mortgage broker in the area, we do this, this, and this, what you end up doing is almost pitching, but she doesn't have a reason to care yet. As we mentioned, the problem that she has isn't that she's not happy with broker, maybe she is, but that could be a whole other email.
So here is my rewrite. Dear Rachel, talking with the sales team at your bidding location, it sounds like you currently recommend one mortgage broker to your buyers. The Ombudsman Code of Practice suggests that builders now provide more than one suggested broker to their buyers. Other builders have found adding a second recommendation to their panel keeps them compliant. Are you worried about falling foul of the code? Would it be worth me calling next week? All right, so let's go for this now. So now it's saying I've got a long sentence at the top here. So let's try and find something a bit more concise. So now we're at 91, right? And what we're seeing here is that going to take her 18 seconds to read the whole message. People actually spend 10 seconds on each message in their inbox these days.
Is that right?
Yeah. So then we've got some uncommon words. Ombudsman, we're going to ignore that because we can't check that. Complex. So now when we actually take a look at that on a phone, we'll be able to see that she's going to see it all on one screen. She's not going to have to scroll, but also it's nice, lots of nice white space, right?
Would you send that email? That's the question. Do you think you'd change that?
I think that the title's going to get their interest because it's something that's just come out. It's quite new. And it's something that will do that. I think it's to the point. I like the idea that I've said I've taken the time to go to one of their locations.
Yeah.
Because it includes them. They go, oh, that's one of my locations.
It's not an automated email as well.
No.
That's the reason you want to personalize stuff.
And I've done some research.
Yeah.
Then I've said to them, well, you could be falling foul of a problem.
You're educating them on something they might not be thinking about.
Exactly right. Yeah. The other thing is as well is that I'm saying to her, I haven't gone on too long. I was interested to hear what you said that people look at these emails for less than 10 seconds. I didn't realise that, but of course I do the same myself.
The first thing you want to do when you open an email is figure out what's the spouting is it for me? Straight away, like if you see something that's like that, talking to your bidding location,
I think that the chances of me getting a response to that are fairly low, but it will stick in the person's mind, and I can then write them again and follow up on that.
Are you going to send this one? Or do you reckon you're going to send this?
I am going to send this one.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
I'll
right.
send it to a few people. Yeah.
Do you want me to show you how to get your email now?
Yeah, sure. If you don't mind.
Hopeful, yes I am hopeful for today. Take this music and use it. Let it take you away and